I speak tonight on the pressing issue of affordable housing and what it truly means and why our current approach falls short. In Wollondilly, we're on the front line of Sydney's growth. In Wilton and Bowral with Appin, just outside the state boundary of Wollondilly, slated for tens of thousands of new homes. But affordable can't just mean cramming people into distant units without schools, roads or services. It's not merely cheap builds driven by land values and developer profits. True affordability must ensure families can live securely close to jobs and community without crippling costs. They must be able to afford to live there. As the UNSW Cities Future Research Centre 2022 study shows, New South Wales faces 221,000 low-income households with unmet needs, projected to rise by 35,000 to 256,000 by 2041. Our social housing waitlist hits 57,500 in 2022, up 15%, underscoring our crisis where demand outstrips supply amid soaring market rents. Social housing, whether it be public, community or Aboriginal, provides a safety net for very low income earners with rents at 25 to 30% of income. Community housing providers like those under the New South Wales Government Communities Plus program receive funding to manage over 150,000 dwellings statewide, delivering stability and better health outcomes. Affordable rental housing, however, targets low to moderate incomes at up to 80% of market rates. Providers here aren't directly funded but exploit the system, reduce fees, waived contributions and density housing bonus under policies like the State Environment Planning Policy Housing 2021. This boosts their profits while burdening locals with extra infrastructure costs from population surges. In Wollondilly, greenfield developments exemplify this. Land values skyrocket, pricing out young families, yet developers reap enormous benefits without commensurate community investment. But affordability isn't just about rent or mortgages. It's eroded by hidden costs that make life unsustainable. No local services mean families fork out for private options or endure hardships. Needing to travel up to 2 hours each way for work isn't affordable. It adds thousands in fuels, tolls and times lost, equivalent to a second job just to commute. In Wollondilly, residents in growth areas like Wilton face exactly this. Jobs in Sydney CBD require gruelling drives or unreliable trains costing $5,000 to $10,000 annually in transport alone. Without public transport, buses that are infrequent, trains are nearly non-existent and never run on time, that's if they don't break down. They're overcrowded and households have to rely upon multiple cars, inflating budgets by 15 to 20%. That's not affordable, it's a trap that costs residents more. Worse, not many school options for children compound the burden. Families in new estates wait years for the promised schools, busing kids to overcrowded facilities hours away. In Wilton, despite the 15,000 planned residents, the new high school I fought for in 2025 is the start, but many other towns still have to travel 45 minutes each way, adding childcare costs and parental stress. The New South Wales Council of Social Services reports this service desert in outer suburbs forces low-income families to spend 10 to 15% more on education and transport, pushing affordability ratios over 30% of income. Essential worker household is a positive step, aiding teachers, nurses and paramedics who serve our shire, but it doesn't address generational equity. Our children deserve the opportunities we had with home ownership. The Minns Government $1.1 billion social and affordable housing fund is commendable, aiming for over 6,200 homes over 10 years. Yet we could go further. Look at Britain's 1980 right to buy under Margaret Thatcher, where long-term public tenants could purchase their homes at discounts. Critics note austerity cut new supply, but in New South Wales, with a private market driving provision, there's no such risk. Adapt this, offer pathways for renters to buy, and perhaps through shared equity or rent-to-own schemes, turning tenants into owners. Current planning rhetoric from government and opposition promise revolution, but we see greenfield sprawl, isolated estates inflating land prices, far from transport, adding hours to commutes. Affordable isn't a 2-hour drive to work. It's integrated communities with amenities. Push developers harder. Require 10 to 15% genuine affordable units in all projects. as per NCOS calls for 5,000 new social homes annually. Involve the federal government too. Their National Housing Accord targets 20,000 affordable homes nationwide. Growth areas need services up front, not afterthoughts. If we don't, we risk creating a problem that none of us will be able to afford.